The roar of the crowd is the driving force behind those who pilot the biggest machines in motorsports. But throw in a little cold hard cash and watch the carnage ensue. Evansville has already played host to one night of controlled chaos, and as these used up jalopies bake in the sun, fresh iron awaits its demise beneath the feet of these steeds of steel. Welcome to Evansville, Indiana. Summer Smash 2020, night number 2, about to get underway here at the Vanderburgh County 4-H Fairgrounds with 10 monster trucks, a stacked lineup, and last night was no easy contest, as signified by the damage there on Black Stallion. Mike Potter Sr., your wheelie competition winner from last night, tearing the bedsides off, but he was not the only one who paid a price to get in to the big money. Going all the way through our freestyle highlights, you can see a couple guys landed on their lids, a lot of damage right there, front and rear tie rods for Matt Cody and the Iron Warrior, and then we wrapped it all up with this wild move by Jimmy Cretin and the Bounty Hunter, and a lot of work going on since early this morning. All the crews trying to get their trucks back together and looking at least a little bit sharp to roll into action here today, but not all this damage was inflicted last night. No, in fact, a legend returned to the seat of a monster truck for the first time in almost 3 decades. Scott Hess, former Barefoot and Hercules driver, got behind the wheel of Overkill Evolution. Did a nice job. They told him not to hit any of the fresh cars that they put down, so he leapt right over top of them. Still drives that thing full throttle. I don't know how happy that motor was, but if you want to check that action out, the link is down in the description as we get things underway with wheelie competition highlights. Take a look at him watering the track. It is finally holding some moisture, and our wheelie competition starting off strong with Mike Votters in the safety clean Black Stallion picking up right where he left off with the vertical wheelies. Didn't have to worry about ripping the bedsides off, but it was a strong statement. He was followed up by Doug Nolke out of Union, Missouri, and the tailgater who looked good, but didn't quite have enough to take the lead. Then, the Tonganoxie, Kansas Ford Expedition with the Slam Patrick chassis. Jimmy Cretin walking it across the cars and Bounty Hunter, and then following that up with some two-wheel action. Twisted around on him a little bit, but he wasn't the only one to have that problem. His just ended up a little bit better than did Matt Cody. Just could not get it to come back down. The truck looking a little worse for wear, but not a whole lot of damage, believe it or not, mostly cosmetic. They took it back to the pits, checked it over. He is back in our racing bracket, sans the doghouse, but a second look will show you what happened very quickly. The truck starting to lean over to the left, cocks around to the right, ends up on the left front tire, and he's trying to get it back down. He's on the throttle. He's trying to get the rear end to come back onto the ground, but he cannot get that left front shock to compress. In fact, the truck keeps driving away from that tire. Just ends up on his lid. Now, Don Cretin, the other half of the Tonganoxie, Kansas-based 2 Extreme Racing team, looking very impressive, and she would take the lead with this move right here. Ladies out in force tonight, getting behind her and pushing her into the lead as Brad Allen filling in for Mikey Votters, trying to outdo her. Did a nice job with this stoppie into a moonwalk, but his second move would not be enough to take the lead away from Don Cretin and Scarlet Bandit. Alan Pizzo came away with the lead, but he turned the crowd on with a wild sideways landing. And if you didn't think it looked wild from that angle, watch it from this angle. First car in that lineup starting to go away, and that thing twisted on him, banging around in the seat. Jim Kohler, similar launch, but the rear end stayed a little lower to the ground. Kohler, very impressive, but again, not enough to get him into the number 1 spot. Brutus, the son of that father-son team, getting that big air that he's known for. Again, not enough to take the lead, but it was a very impressive launch, carrying the front end nice and high. No fear of that kid. Cannot wait to see him get out here in freestyle. And then Preston Perez finishing things up in the higher education cool bus out of Spokane, Washington, driving for the Maryland-based Vonder's Motorsports team. And he looked good getting the big hang time. Even finished off with an extra move right here, this donut. But not going to be enough to take the lead away from the lady. Again, the lady's out in force tonight, getting behind your wheelie competition champion, Dawn Creep, Scarlet Bandit, out of Tonganoxie, Kansas, looking good. She rolls on into racing action, and that's where we're headed next. Stay with us. Round 1 highlights are coming at you.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. For up-to-date show, ticket info, and a wide selection of photo and video galleries, visit monstersmonthly.com. And by RPM Army, featuring action-packed content from around the web. Visit rpmarmy.com, your source for motorsports on the go. This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Crush This. For an inside look at the world of monster trucks, check out Crush This, available on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
Back at the Vanderburgh County 4-H Fairgrounds for Summer Smash 2020. We get ready for round number 1, monster truck racing highlights, 2 jumps. Side by side with the superstars of monster truck competition. Here in Evansville, Indiana, there you see Brad Allen, who's subbing for Mikey Vonders. Mikey back up in Canada with his family while everything's shut down. Brad Allen always does well in this truck, but didn't quite have the time to get used to the suspension changes that they made over the winter. Mikey, who had a chance to get used to those changes during first quarter, turning driving duties over to Brad. Here we'll have to see what Brad can do. He was impressive last night, but he's got a tall order in the far lane there with last night's racing winner, Doug Nolte in tailgater. Very, very different track tonight. As we watch it again, you'll see Brad Allen going straight up in the air in Overkill Evolution. A lot of hang time out of this near lane, and it doesn't seem to be that way out of the grandstand side there for Doug Nolte and tailgater. You can see, though, Allen crossing the finish line first for the victory, but tailgater could get back in this as the fast loser as Chris Kohler takes on Jim Kohler. Last night it went to Jim. Can Chris get some revenge here in night number 2? Indeed he does, as Chris Kohler in Brutus taking advantage of that right-hand lane. Again, this side was the place to be last night, but it does not look like it's going to be that way tonight as Jim Kohler with the big hang time off the first jump, getting bounced around in no man's land. Chris Kohler settling down and driving straight on to victory. Jim started to come around him there at the end, but it wasn't quite enough, as our third matchup of round 1 would be between Dawn and Jim Cretan. Scarlet Bandit taking on the Bounty Hunter. Jim trying to be more conservative out of that near lane. It did not work for him. Dawn Cretan picking up the victory right there, and you can see she was able to charge out of the hole a lot harder. Jim not able to throttle as much over that first jump and still had to make a correction in no man's land as the truck started to pull left on him. He got straight over the cars, but Dawn beat him to the finish line by just a couple of inches. The final matchup of round number 1, a pair of Vonder's Motorsports machines. Preston Perez taking on Matt Cody. And another win out of that right-hand lane as Matt Cody moves on to round number 2, trying to stay in the money, and again with a massive leap over the finish line. Although he was able to keep the front end up a lot better here tonight, you can see Preston having to make a correction in no man's land, and that's all Matt Cody needed to absolutely pull away from as he pulled the trigger over the finish line jump. Our first matchup of round number 2, a guy who got a bye run in the first round. Lone Eagle looking real good here in racing night number 2 as he gets out on Don Cretan by just a little bit. Allen, who had a very, very rough showing on night number 1, having almost no luck at all. Looking real strong here, pulling a win off in this left-hand lane. Doug Nolke and Tailgater gets a berth by virtue of being the fast loser. Back into round number 2. He takes on Matt Cody and the Iron Warrior. Tight race, but in this case, being conservative off the starting line actually worked, and Doug Nolke throttled through no man's land to pull away from Matt Cody. Another very, very close race, but the Union Missouri Ford takes the victory over the Maryland Ford in the right-hand lane. Stay with us. The semis are up next. Back Channel Productions coming at you from Summer Smash 2020 as we head for the semifinal rounds here at the Vanderburgh County 4-H Fairgrounds in Evansville, Indiana. The final 4. First 2 coming to the line. There you see the bracket, Lone Eagle. Alan Pizzo, who had a terrible showing last night, got that truck back together for the day, and he is looking awesome. The big Hemi-powered Ram taking on Overkill Evolution, and Brad Allen out of Hubbard Lake, Michigan. Then Scarlet Bandit, who got back into the bracket by virtue of being the fast loser, takes on last night's race winner, Doug Nolke and Tailgater, who saw a very, very similar path into the final round. He was the fast loser twice and ended up winning the whole race. Now our first pair of the semifinals, Alan Pizzo, who had a great run in this near lane, which is the bad lane, now goes to the good lane to take on Brad Allen, who also had a good run here in the near lane. So, will it be Overkill Evolution or Lone Eagle, the first matchup of the semifinal round about to get underway? And the wheel stand will tell the tale. Brad Allen bouncing around there in no man's land will hand the victory over to a very, very strong Alan Pizzo. And Allen was solid on that run, so don't think Brad Allen's run was the only reason that Lone Eagle took that victory. He would have been fighting him all the way to the finish line if he could have even beaten him there. But that was a solid, solid run by Alan Pizzo. And you can see Brad Allen with the wheel stand in no man's land. And having to correct at the end, it just killed any momentum he would have had to challenge that very, very powerful Ram machine in the other lane of Alan Pizzo. And here's a good look at how Alan's truck works. Watch it land and stick in no man's land. Not a lot of bouncing around as opposed to the Overkill Evolution machine. Again, still trying to work this new suspension out. And having to switch drivers did not help them any. So we get ready for our next semifinal round matchup. Last night's race winner, I mentioned it before, Doug Nolke and Tailgater out of Union, Missouri. He's going to take on Don Cretan out of Tonganoxie, Kansas in Scarlet Bandit. Again, Doug got to the championship race last night by virtue of being the fast loser into the second round and into the semis. He made good on that and ended up winning the whole race. Don Cretan, fast loser into the semis. Can she turn that in her favor? She's in the good lane. Pair of Fords in the final matchup of the semifinal round. It's Kansas taking on Missouri. And all kinds of problems for Doug Nolke. Not the run he wanted at all. The truck took an immediate right-hand turn when it got into no man's land, and he completely misses the final jump. You can see Don very aggressive off the starting line, and now they'll look at it from down here. Doug turned right while he was still on top of the peak of that roller, so something going wrong with the truck. Either he hit a slick spot on the track, they did just water it, or hopefully he didn't break an axle, but that's very possible as the truck taking a right-hand turn in no man's land as we look at how our final round shakes down. Lone Eagle, who knocked out Overkill Evolution. And then I said, Tailgater got to the championship race as a fast loser last night. Dawn Cretan doing the same thing. She might be able to take a win here, but she's got a very, very tough opponent. Alan Pizzo in the Lone Eagle. We're trying to get these trucks to the line very quickly. You'll notice here some storm clouds in the background. That is not the tree line. We're trying to beat this massive thunderstorm that's rolling in as we get ready for the final 2 trucks down the track here at Evansville. Very, very close race. Alan Pizzo making a good run in the bad lane, and the word is Alan Pizzo and Lone Eagle, the big ram out of Brentwood, Tennessee, taking the victory in the championship race over a very competitive Dawn Cretan and Scarlet Bandit. How will things shake down in freestyle? It's coming up next, and not go away. Back at the Vanderburgh County 4-H Fairgrounds Summer Smash 2020 Freestyle getting underway. Had a couple of trucks run already, but we're going to kick things off tonight for our coverage with Doug Nolke and Tailgater. He's looked real strong so far. Had a couple of good wheelies in the wheelie competition. Getting some nice air right there. Made it to the semifinal round. Some trouble in racing, but looking real strong otherwise. Plenty of horsepower to work with. He does not have that problem. He's still got plenty of track to play with as well. Again, they freshened up these obstacles for tonight's competition. You see they haven't matted the cars all the way down. They were clearing them tonight, and I think that popper ramp working out better in the wheelie competition helped keep some of those trucks away from those car stacks. Doug kicking up the dust. Cameraman trying to find him back there in that cloud that he left in the center of the track. Again, the wind is picking up. I mentioned that there's a storm rolling in from the west. Nolke leaving the track in a haze, getting some nice hang time right there, but we're struggling to find him, as once you kick the dust up, it does not want to settle back down. Nice slap wheelie right there for Doug Nolke and Tailgater. Looks like he's going to wrap this one up in front of the grandstands as we take a second look at some of the hits he made in his final season behind the wheel of this awesome machine. We want to wish him luck in the future. Still got a few shows in him, though. Doug, getting some great sky wheelies, some nice hang time. We're going to move on now and show you some highlights from a couple of trucks that already ran. Chris Kohler and Brutus. Awesome backflip last night, but he under-rotated and ended up on his roof after he bounced off the nose. Under throttle, flung the truck backwards. Ended up on his top, and he got some nice hang time in this run, but this truck kept shutting off on him and just couldn't take the risk on getting any real massive hang time or being mid-backflip and having the engine go away. Unfortunately, ended his run early. Brad Allen, Overkill Evolution. Not to be outdone, he had him an awesome run going at the wheel of this big Ford out of Hagerstown, Maryland, by way of McAllen, Texas. Driver out of Hubbard Lake, Michigan, looking real strong. Again, a lot of momentum, a lot of wheel speed, but right here, breaks a Heim joint. You can see the rear end flopping around. It actually, the four-link bar got into the oil pan. You can see the four-link bar hanging down there. Broke the eyelet of the upper four-link bar on the hindfoot, so that was the end of his night. Alan Pizzo out of Brentwood, Tennessee. Real strong running Predator, but ended up having to call it quits early. A little more breakage on that machine sent him to the pits. As we get back to live action, Mike Voders out of Hagerstown, Maryland, and the safety clean Black Stallion comes out charging. Trying to keep his trucks in the big money tonight. There is some cash on the line, and these guys would love to get a little bit more money before the night ended, but the crowd is getting an awesome show regardless. Mike, a guy who's seen just about everything there is to see in this business, and that is not calling him old. This guy is a legend, hitting this track hard. Has him a nice run going right here, and still a couple more things he could do to take over the lead, but he's on his way. Some good momentum in this run. Trying to get these trucks out onto the track and get through their run rapid fire, because again, we're trying to beat this storm that's rolling in onto this track. As you can see, the dust hanging in the air. Not all of that is from these trucks. Mike going up center, getting some big hang time. Safety clean Black Stallion wrapping up an awesome run. There you see the first hit that he took coming out onto the track. Some nice air right there, and then the big hit off of the moto and backflip ramp right there. Center track, the ski slope. Mike Voders bouncing down to take the lead as Don Cretin and Scarlet Bandit, who took the wheelie competition, went away from Mike today. Out of Tonganoxie, Kansas, the 2 Extreme Racing Camp Ford Expedition, the better half of that team, Dawn. Some good momentum as she got into the semifinals, again taking that wheelie competition victory. She's got to be on cloud 9, making her way into this freestyle. Have a lot of confidence as she works the track. Lining up for the ski slope with some big air. Nice hit going into the outfield right there. Big Ford-powered Scarlet Bandit working this track beautifully. Another big leap right there. And the truck falls down on her, and that'll be the end of it. The motor going away. Something. I don't know if it's an electrical problem or what, but hear the truck refire in the background. She's going to go ahead and take it on off the track, but she had some big hang time in that run, and I believe she'll take over the lead. Don Cretin, Scarlet Bandit, looking awesome. Here in Evansville is Matt Cody's been on his top once tonight. He's not worried about that body as he rolls out the Iron Warrior. He's got the cab and one bedside left on that thing. Wants to make up for his backflip last night. It was a good backflip, but he landed up a little short, broke both front and rear tie rods. Driving this Eddie Matchka chassis that they put together for him this year, and he is looking real strong. Did a great job in the old Black Stallion 2000 that debuted back in 1996, and he drove it all the way up till spring of last year. Now with his new ride, he's not afraid to tackle anything. I'd say if this run ended right now, with a good hang time right there, I'd say if this run ended right now, he'd still be able to take over the lead, but I guarantee you he's not done yet. Solid run so far, kicking up the dust, keeping up the momentum as he heads down center. He's coming toward that backflip ramp. Will he pull it off? Perfect backflip from Matt Cody. Iron Warrior, no problems here tonight. I don't think he's done yet either. Heading back up the ski slope. Marathon run for the Big Ford out of Hagerstown, Maryland. The driver out of Williamsport, Maryland, and that has to have taken over the lead. And awesome job for Matt Cody. Really laying it down here in Evansville, Indiana. You can see just carrying so much momentum, move to move, no wasted effort in the run. Had all that hang time and had this perfect backflip. Shocks, those overtime shocks soaking up everything Matt threw at that truck, and then one more hit off the ski slope. What a run for Matt Cody out of Williamsport, Maryland, popping out of the cab of the Iron Warrior. Saluting the crowd here in Evansville, Indiana, as our next machine rolls out onto the track, and it's Preston Perez, Matt's teammate. Preston now hails out of the Hagerstown, Maryland area by way of Spokane, Washington. What a story behind this guy. We were at his very first show behind the wheel of the higher education school bus, and he was impressive early on, but he has grown leaps and bounds, and he is showing that here. And you talk about a guy who can stand this thing up on the tail. He gives Mike Vodders heart attacks every time he puts that truck in a vertical position, because he has torn the back of that bus up more than once. I doubt we'll see a backflip out of this thing with this body on it, but he's not afraid to air it out. Preston Perez, higher education, looking real impressive here in Evansville, and it looks like he's going to head up the center. Backing it all the way to the wall. Waits till the tires touch. Man, he tests those air springs. All the durability that they've got. It's the last truck on that team that runs those King Shock air springs, but still, then they've got that thing tuned right. You cannot stop it. It looks like it's leaning a little bit to the right now. He may have done some damage, but he is being spectacular. Very strong run for the Big Bad Cool Bus. Higher education out of Hagerstown, Maryland, part of the Vodders Motorsports clan. Preston Perez doing him proud tonight. Trying to get in the big money and getting some awesome hang time at the wheel of the cool bus. The brake rotor's glowing. Loves wrapping up these runs with the donuts. Open front end, you can see right there. It makes it kind of hard to get a cyclone going, but those were some impressive moves from Preston Perez. A lot of hang time in that run, and then again, I have to wonder if he may have actually damaged one of those air springs or overcompressed one, because you'll see when he lands off of this jump, the right rear, you see it sort of drop out different from the left. A little bit of an off-camber look to that bus when he drove away from that butt. A very impressive run. Not going to take over the lead, but take nothing away from him as the man who won Freestyle last night rolls out an Avenger. He's looking for a freestyle sweep. He'd love to take the win here on night number 2. Whole lot of ground speed as he works this track now. Looks like he's going to head up center. Wild launch and landing right there. Now, that thing sounds awesome. Corey Rummel tuned this engine right before they left for here in Evansville. And it just shows that they really prepped this truck to come in here and try to win this event, because this thing sounds so crisp. It looks awesome. Brutus did too, save for some problems he had. Chris Kohler was really running his truck hard as Jim Kohler works the track here in the 57 Bel Air out of Columbus, Michigan. He and his son representing this coal country-based team very well as he heads for the backflip ramp. Chris wanted to flip it tonight in Brutus, but mechanical problems stopped that. Jim gonna do it. Bang, right there. He snaps off the right front. You saw the outer axle go flying off the truck. Wow. Hard hit on the front end. Waiting to see if Jim's all right. It was a hard hit, but that right front snapping off actually should have helped absorb some of that impact. You see Chris Kohler making his way out. We are getting word that Jim is moving around inside the truck. Just worried about him a little bit there because he landed right on the front of that thing, but didn't hit right on the frame because the front tires stick out so far. A lot of hang time in the run. But that carnage-filled conclusion, I do believe, is going to get him into the number one spot. Jim Kohler with a wild bunch of moves on that run. You can see way up in the air, not enough rotation. Comes down under throttle on the front tires and just snaps the right one off. Not quite as much damage as I thought on the initial impact. It's still a lot of fixing is going to need to go into that, but they'll probably have it patched up and in the trailer pretty quickly. They'll get it back to Columbus, Michigan, and get it back to as good as new. As you see Matt Cody out there as well, but Jim Kohler popped out of the truck A-OK, and we get ready for our final competitor here tonight in Evansville, Jim Cretin out of Tonganoxie, Kansas, in that slam Patrick Jassy Bounty Hunter Ford Expedition, Ford-powered monster. Jimmy, World Finals Freestyle champion, now World Finals Racing champion. This guy is another one. He's seen the ins and outs of this industry for many years, and he can drive, he can freestyle, he can race with the best of them. He is ready to make up for how last night ended. He was not happy with that thing landing on its roof. It was a spectacular run. There was nothing to be ashamed of, but that's not what Jimmy wanted to do. Very aggressive run he's got going on so far here in the Bounty Hunter. He's going to have to try to match Jim Kohler's hang time. He's got the speed. He's going move to move. I'd say he's matching Matt Cody as far as that goes. Nice hit right there as he heads toward the roller jump, headed to the outfield. There's some of that 2 Extreme horsepower going to work as he wheelies it all the way into the end zone. Another big launch right there, and another slap wheelie for Jim Cretin and the Bounty Hunter. Really working the track nicely here tonight. Those SUR Planetaries going to work, and another big hit off of the center jump. Doing what he needs to do. No wasted effort in the run. Now he has to finish it in a flourish, and he is headed for that backflip ramp. That's what he wanted last night. Those consecutive backflips. That is something he has been trying to make his trademark. He's pulled it off before. It is always unbelievable, though, to see it live, and I don't think there is any way that Jim Cretin does not take over the number 1 spot and take this freestyle victory after that move. Now, we're going to go back and look at some highlights from the run when we find out who our freestyle winner is, but I don't know if he had the spectacle of Matt Cody or the spectacle of Jim Kohler through the middle of the run, but at the very least, he matched those guys as far as momentum and hang time, but there was some technical moves that Jim Cretin had in this run that I don't know that those guys did. And one of them was right here when he went over that far end center jump and pulled off this slap wheelie, carried it all the way to the stacks of cars from last night's event. Fast slap wheelie. And then he had another one coming back this way. A solid run, a strong run, and a spectacular finish for Jim Cretin and the Bounty Hunter.
Who thinks the winner was Bounty Hunter?
And there you hear it, Jim Cretin with that move right there. He almost didn't complete it, but that made it look even cooler. Jim Cretin and the Bounty Hunter, your freestyle winner here in Evansville, Indiana. What a way to wrap up our weekend here at the Vanderburgh County 4-H Fair. Our congratulations to Don Cretin and Jim Cretin, both taking victories here on night number 2, and our racing winner, Alan Pizzo in Lone Eagle. It's been a wild weekend of action here in Evansville. We want to thank Mike Botters Sr., Greg Fuchs, Chris Parrish and Mean Duck Productions, and to everybody who made this one possible. We will see you guys next time.